What's happening, Chief? Don't get yourself down too much if people don't find you interesting, or at least they seem that way. It's probably mostly not to do with you, and if it is, there's a few quick things you can do to change that. First of all, you probably knew I was going to say this, but people don't give a fuck about you because the only thing they give a fuck about is themselves. And most of the time, when people care about other people, I don't mean to whittle down every human connection to something so simple as this, but it's true, to be honest. People only really care about other people when they get validation from it in some form, when they feel like they can talk to people, to talk about themselves, to express themselves, when they get validation, support, whatever. They're not interested in you because you don't provide value to them, because you're just a guy. They are also not interested in you because potentially you're trying to be interesting. And that's never going to work. Because if you're trying to be something, that already means you are not it, Chief. So that's a problem in itself. And how are you going to be interesting, Chief? You're going to try and be mysterious and walk into a room. Be the silent type. People are just going to think you're silent and think nothing of it. Because they're just focused on their monologue, their story, their problems, what they want to eat, who they want to shag. They don't give a fuck about you. If you really want to be interesting, if you really want to be validated, there's one thing you can do that may work. And I say may because people will always put themselves first unless they are hating on someone or crushing on someone, or they're really lovely. The latter is very rare, but you can be that. Instead of trying to be interesting, and I've said this last week, try and be interested. If you're the type of Donnie that talks too much about himself, that always wants to tell people about everything, and you can do this with your close friends, sure, but if you're always, even with your close friends, talking about yourself constantly, stop it. Because you're making it about you. It's you. And you might not realise it because you're too busy talking about yourself, but people are fucking sick of it. They won't tell you, but they want to talk about themselves. They want to be validated themselves. So shut the fuck up and be interested in other people. If you want to be interesting, don't say anything about yourself, because being mysterious can work if you do it right. And it's not by walking in a room with a weird sort of walk and posture. It's just about saying less about yourself and asking more about other people, because then they're more inquisitive about you. When you validate people by letting them speak about themselves, by actually, and I don't mean in like a forced way, by genuinely showing interest, then they'll actually want to know about you, because you are now associated with a good feeling that they have, because they can express themselves. Show interest in people's stories and people's personalities. Ask questions, and not like a weird robot questionnaire, only when it's natural. Ask them how their day's been. Fuck it, ask them what their favourite colour is if you want to be autistic about it. But just show interest in people. When people start talking about themselves they want to, ask more. Make them feel like they can speak to you. When people ask me about myself, sometimes it's usually, I can tell they're just doing it to be polite, and I just give them a short answer, like, yeah, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I just move on and ask them about themselves. Like, I show that I'm more interested in hearing about them. I only tell people about detailed things about me if they really want to know. And that's usually people that are very close to me, or that I know actually give a shit. Because there's so much politeness in this world where people pretend to care because they do it out of courtesy. But if you can genuinely care, and I mean genuinely, about other people, you will form bonds. And do you know what, Chief? You will learn something. If you want to look at it pragmatically and psychopathically, like, what are you actually going to get out of this other than validating people? First of all, people will like you more. They'll be drawn to you because you are validating them. But you know what, Chief? You will learn something. Because people have experiences and different truths, different opinions, different ways of life that you couldn't even comprehend. Because every single person is completely and utterly unique. And they have been raised in a unique way. They have ways of looking at things. They have stories. They have experiences that you could learn from them. Or at very least be entertained by. And you're shutting that all out just because you want to talk about yourself and you want to be interesting. Bro, most people aren't actually that interesting. And you can't change that. Even if you try and be this cool guy, goes to the gym, I don't give a fuck. Be interested. I'll keep hammering on about that. I know I've already said this in videos before because that's the most important thing about people skills. Be interested. It will get you far, I promise. And you have so much to learn, you know? There's this guy that loves to speak to me, and I've said this in a video before, but I'll say it again. And we were having a long chat, I think, for hours, and you know what? It was mainly just me listening. I said a few things. And at the end he said, bro, I really enjoyed talking to you, you know? You should come over to my house, we should do this, do that. And I thought to myself, yeah, we weren't really talking, I was just listening. That was great. And at first, I think the first like 10 minutes I was thinking to myself, fucking hell, it's just him speaking. But if you just silence that selfish little voice in your head and actually start listening, then he started telling these stories and I was thinking, wow, the value I learned from those conversations about him, I would have never got to if I butted in and tried to talk about myself more because I was getting bored. I forced myself to just listen and be interested. And not only did I learn something, but now he values me, he values talking to me. He told me that he talks to me, he doesn't even know me that well, but he talks to me like he talks to no one. He's not talked to people like that in a while, even people that know him, yeah? That's all just because I was listening. And now I'm going to go around his house and he's going to cook me a meal at some point. I barely know the guy. That's where social skills can get you, being interested, and that makes you interesting, ironically. So, show interest. Don't be selfish. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be interesting, but if not, you'll be valuable. And that's better. Share this to someone if they need to hear it, Chief. Say less, do more. See you tomorrow.